What's up, YouTube? How's it going? It has been a while. If you are new here, then I guess it hasn't been a while because this is the first video that you're ever seeing. So hit that subscribe button so you can see all my later videos, and go check out the previous videos too. But those of you that are subscribed or that are just frequently watch my videos, in which case, what are you doing? Hit the subscribe button. It'll make it so much easier. They pop right up in your video feed. It's perfect. Anyways, it's been a while. It's been like a month. Things have been a little off in my life lately. So I'm going to kind of like fill in what's up, and then I wanted to do a Let's Talk today, kind of related to what's been going on. So for those of you that know me in real life or just know me personally, you probably already know that I have anxiety. It's something I've dealt with my entire life. It's something I'm diagnosed with. I take medication for, all that stuff. It's something that's impacted my entire life. My anxiety has been bothering me and kind of causing me issues for the last couple of months. I got off my medication for a little while, not intentionally, and then I had to get back on, and it was just hard. But things kind of started going good, and then I started college last month, and that really triggered my anxiety. I was having a really hard time dealing with my nausea and stuff like that, and in fact I actually missed the very first day of school because I was throwing up. So that's not fun, and while I was dealing with getting into the rhythm of college and dealing with my anxiety, I didn't really feel like making videos, and I wasn't going to force myself to do something if I didn't feel like it was going to be beneficial to me or something that I would enjoy. But I'm back. Hopefully, I'll continue every week, and maybe every other week. It's going to depend on how my classes are going, and how much homework and tests and stuff like that. So today's topic for the Let's Talk, I wanted to talk about anxiety and school and kind of my experience and like tips and tricks. Since it is September and a lot of people are going to junior high or high school or even college, which I don't really have a lot of advice for because I'm new to it myself. But I do have a lot of experience with anxiety in school. So if we're going to go back kind of to when anxiety started affecting my school life, it was actually before I was diagnosed. In 8th grade, I started getting really, really sick, and I started finding it really hard to like leave the house because I felt so sick. And at the time, I didn't realize that those were so correlated, that the reason I felt sick was because I was having a hard time leaving the house and I didn't want to get out there, and it was my anxiety was making me sick. But we didn't really know what was going on. All I knew was that I felt sick and I was throwing up, and for a while in there, I think I really was sick because I had a fever and stuff, but normally I didn't have a fever or anything like that. I was just, diarrhea, throwing up, just all that gross stuff that's just like you don't want to go anywhere. And I was terrified of being sick out in public. I ended up missing about 2 months of school. I'd go for a couple days and miss 2 weeks, and go for a day and miss a week, and it was ridiculous. I had a lot of medical tests done on me, and it took 2 months before we figured out that it was anxiety and before I got on medication. But the point of me even telling that little story was that had we not talked to, granted this was junior high, but had we not talked to the principal and to the school and let them know what was going on, like I wouldn't have passed 8th grade. I wouldn't have been able to go on to high school with the rest of my class. Because we let them know what was going on, they were able to help me with just getting me like the tests and the really important assignments and projects, and being able to kind of not count the homework and not worry about that, and get caught up so that when I got back, I was pretty much caught up. So flash forward to high school, we made sure to let them know as well, like, hey, I have anxiety, it can cause me to be really sick, it can cause me to get really nervous and anxious, and I haven't had a lot of like severe panic attacks or like just panic attacks, but I have had a few. So I needed to let the school know about that situation, that there may be times when I need special leeway, or I need like leeway on certain situations. And letting the principal and stuff know, like that wasn't as important as, honestly, in my opinion, letting your teachers know. And that, may sound kind of weird because like, why would your teachers need to know? Or that's a lot more people that you're telling, and like that's personal and they don't care and whatever. But in all honesty, I had a lot of teachers kind of be able to understand my situation and help make sure that I'm still getting the best education possible without making school this horrible, terrible, terrifying experience for me. All your teachers have heard about anxiety before. It's not uncommon for students to get anxiety about school. It's not uncommon for students to have anxiety in the form of the mental illness, because just being anxious is different than having anxiety. But letting your teachers know about your anxiety can help with just changing presentations and speeches to maybe a smaller portion of the class, or being allowed to just give that presentation or speech directly to the teacher instead of to the entire class. Test anxiety was something that there were students in my class that had problems with. I don't know if they had like anxiety like diagnosed, or if they simply got really anxious about tests. But either way, the teachers knew about it, and they would allow them to leave and go to a separate space to take their test instead of doing it in the classroom and having to deal with all that pressure or whatever it was that was causing them anxiety. You know, it's really just the little things that letting your teachers and, you know, the school nurse, that was another thing. I would go down to the school nurse if I needed to lay down because I wasn't feeling well. They knew it was my anxiety. They knew it wasn't like a stomach bug or something like that, and they understood that I just needed 10-20 minutes to lay down and relax and recenter and before I could go back to class. So that was something I was able to do. There was also the guidance counselor. Most schools, or I don't know if it's every school, but have guidance counselors, and a lot of time they help with not only your schedule and class stuff, but they can help with personal issues. So that's mainly my experience. Like I did have some teachers that didn't really understand what it was or didn't really understand. They were just like, okay, they get anxiety, whatever. They'd heard it from students before and they just thought it was an excuse or whatever. You know, not all teachers are going to be understanding, but understand there's always somebody you can go to above them in order to help make sure you get the education that you deserve. And you shouldn't have to settle for a terrible school experience or a lesser education because of your anxiety or your depression or whatever it is that you're dealing with, your mental illness. If your teachers aren't willing to work with you on a situation, you can go to the vice principal or you can go to the principal and talk to them, explain your situation. But the fact is, you're not the only student in your school with anxiety. And there's a lot of students that are ashamed or don't really realize that they can do something about it to make school easier for them. And by you helping explain to teachers what it is that you deal with and what accommodations you may need, it can help other students either get the courage to do that, or when another student goes to that teacher, the teacher will already have had experience with a student. You know, going to like the principal and whatever, if they're unwilling to help, trying to see, doing some research about your school district and see who you can contact about that situation, because they really should be helping. And if your school is unwilling to help any students who are dealing with anxiety, going to somebody above could change that in your school and could impact a lot of students in the future that, you know, you don't even know. So that's just my personal experience with anxiety. If you want to know more about my experience with anxiety, other than school, like my experience with anxiety and vacations or family, or with like what I experience and what it feels like, or more information about getting that diagnosis and what that whole thing was like, I just wrote a 4-page narrative on it for a school assignment. So if you want to know anything like that so that you can, you know, compare stories, or if maybe you're just curious, let me know down below and I will 100% do that. I'm somebody that believes in sharing your story because I feel there's somebody out there that can learn something from you sharing your story. And by putting your story out there, you're giving them a chance to come across it. That's it for this video, guys. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up. Share it to Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, whatever, Snapchat, I don't care. Just give it a share to help spread it out to more people, and subscribe so that you can see whenever I post and you can find my channel without difficulty. Because when you're just starting on YouTube and you don't have very many subscribers, it tends not to pop up when you type it into the search. But anyways, that's it for this week, guys. So good morning, good night, and I will see you guys next video.